Welcome guys to another year-end list, and this is going to be for my worst movies of 2019. 2019 has been full of surprises, it's been full of letdowns, and it's been full of some really great movies. But let's not forget that this year has also been packed with some very bad films. Now initially this list was a top 20, but then I figured, wait a minute. 2019, this is the year that I turned 21, and I turned 21 back in August. So I figured, let's kick it up a notch. Let's find 21 movies that I easily don't like. And before I get into this, let's get it clear. Most of these movies are theatrical releases, and some of them didn't get released until now, and there is one Netflix movie. Technically it is a 2018 movie, but I'll get to that movie when I get to it. But anyways, most of this list, if you disagree with the list, that's fine, just don't be an asshole about it, because then I'm gonna have to block you. But without further ado, let's get started. And before I get started, be sure to follow all my social media links in the description down below, and tell me what is your least favorite movie down below. So with that being said, let's get started. In no particular order. First up is Charlie's Angels 2019, or Woke Angels. Because Hollywood and Sony, you don't know when to leave this freaking property alone. This movie is complete and utter bullshit. Charlie's Angels 2019 is not Charlie's Angels. This feels anything but a Charlie's Angels movie. This entire movie feels like SJW, Feminazi Are Us. And this movie is basically what all you have going for you. The only things I liked in the movie was the soundtrack. I felt that Ella Balinska, Naomi Scott, and some of the rest of the cast is really trying. The final action scene was kind of cool, and the soundtrack I like, and you do have some good production design, good cinematography. But that doesn't come close to getting this movie off this list, because your main lead actress, Kristen Stewart, is not very convincing as a badass. She failed with Snow White and the Huntsman, and she fails here. And the comedy is just not really funny. It's not even funny. This whole movie, you pulled the freaking feminist card, just like Ghostbusters 2016, just like this year's Black Christmas, and trying to say that all men are bad, and when clearly the only good guy in this movie was Noah Centineo. And then also, the direction was lifeless, the script was not there, the action is not even shot well, and the freaking plot twist was just lazy. And also, this movie has the nerve to come out and say that it's part of the same continuity as the 1976 film and the 1976 TV series and the 2000s movies. Which, after sitting through this, I would rather watch the 2000 and 2003 Charlie's Angels movies, and I would rather watch the TV series with Farrah Fawcett, because this movie has absolutely nothing going for it. Nothing. And at this point, anything with Kristen Stewart, I'm going to just blackmail. That means I never want to watch anything with Kristen Stewart ever again. And one more thing before I conclude number 21. When Elizabeth Banks has to literally come out and says that men are the reason that this movie flopped. No, the movie bombed. No, I call bullshit on that. This movie flopped because nobody wanted it, because it looked bad, and nobody cared about new Charlie's Angels, and we didn't want to see a Me Too version of Charlie's Angels. And before anybody gives it dislikes, let me just say it, I love movies with female empowerment, and you have lots of movies with female empowerment in this decade. Force Awakens, in my honest opinion, Captain Marvel, Alita Battle Angel early this year, Booksmart. It's not even a full female empowerment movie, but it was better than this film. And that one scene in Avengers Endgame during the final battle with all the MCU ladies, if that doesn't tell you female empowerment, I don't know what it is. So to say that this movie failed because men doesn't watch movies with strong female leads, that is a travesty, that is wrong, and that is unforgivable and inexcusable for any movie maker or creative person to come out and say, man up and say that the movie sucks, Sony and Elizabeth Banks. Thank you. Midway. Number 20 is Midway. Roland Emmerich, just stop. Just stop. Because the only two watchable movies that you've had in this decade were White House Down and Independence Day Resurgence. And there was a time where Roland Emmerich was a good filmmaker. He would make some good movies like The Day After Tomorrow, Independence Day, The Patriot, Stargates. 10,000 BC is easily his worst film. And I don't even mind the Roland Emmerich 1998 Godzilla. I know a lot of Godzilla fans hate it, but I've reviewed that film on my channel explaining why I don't hate it as much as I did. But Midway, this is basically Pearl Harbor 2.0. No interesting characters, no interesting story, except for the fact that this is the Battle of Midway. Nothing good going for it. Just everything that could have went right with this movie went wrong due to lazy direction, to the very weak screenplay. And you have a lot of great talent in here. Mandy Moore, Ed Skrein, Patrick Wilson, Nick Jonas. Great talent. The action scenes were the only thing good about this movie. And so is the performances, and so is the music. But the problem is that it could have been used in a better movie about the Battle of Midway, and this is not it. This is easily one of the worst war movies ever, and it makes Pearl Harbor from Michael Bay look better by comparison. Stay away from Midway. Number 19, Lucy in the Sky. Lucy in the Sky, I give credit to the actors, and I give credit to some decent direction and to the music, but this movie was boring, and this was not good. Natalie Portman is an Oscar winner, and seriously, she can do so much better than this. And I don't know what this movie was supposed to be, because this is supposed to be based around an actual real life person who went crazy after a space mission. So with that, you kind of just wasted a whole opportunity there. Not to mention Noah Hawley, this is his first directorial effort, and it is not a good way to start a directorial debut. I'm sorry. Honestly, I really don't have anything else to say about this movie except stay away from Lucy in the Sky. It is not worth it. So there's a reason why this movie bombed. Because it was boring. And it was lazy. Coming in 18th place is 47 Meters Down Uncaged. I haven't even seen the first 47 Meters Down, but after watching this, I kind of don't want to, because I'm afraid it's going to be exactly like this. This bad, this lazy, no interesting characters, and I'm getting in the only good shark movie in this decade. I can't believe I'm saying it, but the Sharknado movies are better than this. The Meg was better, because at least they were fun. You have the daughter of Jamie Foxx in here, and you have the daughter of Sylvester Stallone, Sistine Stallone. You have Greg Basinger, all the Neil Long, John Corbett, and they have nothing to do in this movie. They have nothing to do. The shark looks atrocious. The shark kills were laughable. The writing and direction was lazy. Everything about this movie just does not work. And for a shark movie, this should have been a lot better, but it wasn't. Do not make a 47 meters down 3. Please. Number 17. Poms. Freaking Poms. About freaking bunch of people in a retirement home that I don't really give a crap about. That's basically what this movie was. Just a bunch of people in a retirement home who starts the cheerleading thing. This movie was not funny. It wasn't heartfelt. It wasn't even the least bit entertaining. And you have some good actors in here: Diane Keaton, Pam Grier, Bruce McGee, Rhea Pearl. They just a group of women in a retirement home community who decides cheerleading squad should be of a good comedy. But the problem, there's not one joke in this movie that makes me laugh, and I'm getting so sick of these comedies where I'm not laughing. If I don't laugh, I am gonna have to laugh. So for that, Poms is number 17 for a reason. Now, half of this list is horror, because horror has sucked this year half the time. And there's been some good horror movies like Ready or Not, Annabelle Comes Home, and there's been some decent ones like The Curse of La Llorona. But in this case, no. Number 15 is The Haunting of Sharon Tate. I don't even know what else to say about this movie, except that Hilary Duff, she was the best thing in this movie. I don't really feel like talking about this movie again, because this is basically an empty film. It's like they didn't even try with this movie. They didn't try. They didn't put any effort, any heart, any soul into this. And this comes off as insulting to Sharon Tate's legacy and the Manson murders. This is just trash. Complete and utter trash. Hilary Duff, thank goodness she has the Lizzie McGuire reboot coming out. It was good seeing her in the movie again, but this was the wrong movie to come back in. I really don't want to talk about this movie again, so I'm just going to move on. Coming in 15th place is Secret Obsession. The only thing this movie has going for it is Brenda's song. She tries, and Brenda's song from Sweet Life Zach Tate. Need I say more? Is London Tipton from Secret Life of Zach and Cody, and she doesn't get anything to do rather than just be stuck in a movie that is not primarily her fault. Everything else in this movie sucks. The directing sucks, the writing sucks. There's a dumb twist in this movie that is so unintentionally hilarious. The rest of the terrible acting is pretty terrible. It's boring, it's lazy, the writing was good. This is directed by Peter Sullivan, the same director of The Secret Life of Cheerleaders. And that was a better movie. This movie has nothing going for it. Nothing. Stay away from Secret Obsession off of Netflix. Stay away from this. Netflix, piece of crap. As well as this one. Number 14 is Unplanned. I have never had the hardest time sitting through a movie, a horror film about pregnancy in my life. And this is not even... I This movie is so bad, I have forgotten about it. If you want to see my thoughts on this movie, my review is on my channel. It's also in my 2019 playlist. I really do not feel like sitting here talking about this movie because it's so dull. Do what you did at the box office Unplanned and die. Okay? Just die. Number 13, The Intruder. I know there are some people out there who actually like this movie, and that is cool. That's cool. But when I watch this movie, I get so mad at a lot of things in this movie. This movie is so bad, it's hilarious. Dennis Quaid, you can tell he's having fun with his role as Charlie. He's having fun with his role. Michael Ealy and Megan Good. These are two great actors. But there's all three of these actors, their talent is wasted on a lazy script. This is also from the same director of Uncle Drew, Black and Blue, which I did not even see, Meet the Blacks, and Traffic. This is from that same director, Deon Taylor. The writing was absolutely abysmal. Half this entire movie, the main girl, played by Megan Good, does some of the most stupidest things I can even imagine. And also, this movie is unintentionally hilarious in the wrong moments. This is just boring. It's lazy, it's boring, it's crappy, it is abysmal, and above anything else, this movie is utterly stupid. But the reason why this is not number one is because I did get a kick out of laughing at a lot of the stupid crap in this movie, so I can give you that. But even if I am to watch this movie again, it'll probably be to laugh at it, because I can't take this movie seriously. Number 12, The Hustle. Oh man, Anne Hathaway has not had the greatest luck this year, except for Dark Waters. This movie is so unfunny, and this comes off as another agenda movie, just like Charlie's Angels. The only things I liked in this movie wasn't Anne Hathaway. It's Anne Hathaway. She's hot. Rebel Wilson does the best she can. The actors do the best they can, and it does look good. But if I'm not laughing, if I'm not having a good time with this, then you just have a very bland, lazily, and unneeded remake of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels for the feet. That comes off as an agenda film. That's all you got going for you. That is it. That's it. Number 11. This is another Netflix movie. The silence. The fucking silence. This is not even scary. The silence was not scary. It wasn't creepy. It wasn't even coherent. The silence comes off as a ripoff of A Quiet Place, the first Quiet Place, because part 2 comes out in March, and the trailer for that hits New Year's Eve. And from the little trailer tease they showed today online, A Quiet Place 2 already looks 10 times better than this. And you, like I said, you have good actors in this movie. You have Kiernan Shipka, who was Let It Snow. That was a good Netflix movie that takes place during the course of winter, with Isabella Merced or Murnau, however you choose to say her last name. Yeah, Stanley Tucci, Oscar nominee, Miranda Otto from The Lord of the Rings. But the sad part is that this movie is directed by the guy who directed the first Annabelle and Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Annabelle is okay, Wish Upon was alright. Mortal Kombat Annihilation is so bad it's good, but I like it. This movie has no sense of direction, no tone, no freaking story, no interesting thrills. This movie just makes me want to watch A Quiet Place and Bird Box all over again. It even makes me feel bad for trash talking my number one least favorite movie of this year, and I'll get to that because yeah, we gonna get to it. I'll give you a hint, it is a romance movie, but I'll say more about it when I get to it. But silence, go screw yourself. Number 10, Captive States. Interesting premise for a sci-fi film, an original sci-fi flick. You have a very interesting concept here, going for you. You really do. The aliens comes and basically we have to fight back against them. But the problem with Captive State is that it's boring. Boring. For the entire hour and 90 minutes. How do you take an interesting story like this and make it boring? It's a very engaging story, and you have some good actors in here, like John Goodman, the black guy, I forgot his name, Machine Gun Kelly, not really much of an actor, but he is a good rapper, and Vera Farmiga. This is also directed by Rupert Wyatt, who gave us Rise of the Planet of the Apes. How do you go from Rise of the Planet of the Apes to this? The editing was awful. The action wasn't even that engaging and poorly handled. The story has so much potential to it, but the problem is not done right. Had you have had a better script and a better direction, this could have really gone into some places. And stay away from this movie. Stay away from Captive State. Please. We're into the top 9 now. Replicas. Keanu Reeves, this has been his awesome year. He's got Bill and Ted 3 coming out next year. I actually want to see Bill and Ted 3, but I want to see the other 2 first. How do you... It's an interesting premise of this man and his family dies in a car crash and he tries to bring them back through robots. Keanu Reeves is trying, Alex Eve is trying, and the sister of Natalie Allen Lynn is trying, Emily Allen Lynn. The cast is, the actors are trying, but this is a very bad January film, man. Let me tell you something. Everything else in this movie sucks. From the uncreative filmmaking, to the terrible direction, to the terrible acting from the rest of the cast, to the nonsensical, incredibly idiotic, uninteresting, boring story that doesn't really do anything and is interesting in its direction. Characters, especially our main characters, where the movie fails to make you care about them. Bad CGI, lazy ending, and this movie is very boring through the majority of its runtime. can see why this movie got released back last year instead of. I hate this movie. I hate this film. I hate this film. Number 8, The Prodigy. I've already talked about this in my most disappointing, and I've already talked about this movie in a full review. Interesting premise, but not very well done. That's the sad part about it. You have a child who starts showing display of acting evil, and you screw it up. How do you mess up that? When Brightburn is a better movie than this, in terms of doing the same exact thing, but except in Brightburn's case, Brandon is a freaking superpower being. Oh my god, man. The acting was fine, but it doesn't even come close to saving this train wreck. Good God. Number 6, Countdown. Countdown. About a freaking app that can kill you. Could have been good, but the problem is PG-13 rated for one. Terrible acting from everybody. Yes, I can see that the actors are trying, especially the main girl, Elizabeth Lale, and you have Khalil from Black Lightning in here, and he doesn't come close to saving this. The music was uneventful, direction was lifeless, it's not as engaging, not scary. It's not even bloody. You don't even get to see how people die. You only get to see the aftermath. Countdown is absolutely abysmal. Countdown sucks. So just like Charlie's Angels 2019 and just like Unplanned, do what you did at the box office and die. Number 5. Serenity. Not the Joss Whedon one, that's the good one. The 2019 bullcrap. From the entire movie, this actually had potential to be a good thriller. And you have great talented actors. Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway, Jason Clarke. Thank God Jason Clarke had Pet Sematary 2019. Did Jamal Hounsou. You have all this great talent in here, and they're wasted. And for the entire movie, I was getting ready to be nice and give this a Redbox rental. Until you get to that freaking hour and 13-minute mark, and you have to reveal the twist before the movie even ends that this is all a video game that the child, that their son creates to get away from the abusive husband of Anne Hathaway, played by Jason Clarke. That's where I completely lost faith in this movie. I was like, I'm out. I had it with this. I have nothing more to say on Serenity except stay away from it. Stay away from Serenity, please. Now we get into the top 4 movies that really angers me the most. Number 4 is Polaroid. A freaking horror movie that's not even scary that kept getting pushed back due to the Weinstein controversy and didn't get released until this year. Based on the short story of the same name about an old vintage camera that if you take pictures of it, it will kill you. Wow. Where's the logic in today's horror? I'll tell you, there is no logic in this. The only actor who was actually trying was Madeleine Pesch, and that she's only in the beginning of this movie just to get killed. When she got killed off, I'm like, I don't really care about anybody else in this movie. And you have some good, decent enough actors in here. Grace Zabriskie, Captain Prescott, but the direction was nonsensical. This movie was boring, it was painful, lame, embarrassing to horror, and it just completely failed as a horror movie, completely. I can see why this movie did not do well. I can see why this movie kept getting pushed back, because this movie sucks. Third place, Godzilla the Planet Eater. The final film in the Netflix Godzilla trilogy. Technically, this came out in 2018, according to the real Mr. Robertson, but I'm classifying it as a 2019 film because it got released on Netflix at the beginning of the year. Godzilla the Planet Eater was trash. And people give Godzilla King of the Monsters a lot of crap. To tell you the truth, Godzilla King of the Monsters is better than this movie. Yes, it was. Godzilla King of the Monsters was better than this. The characters aren't great, but they had something going for them. The way they insult Ghidorah in this movie is insulting, and Godzilla is in it just as much as he was in the last two anime films in this trilogy, as well as 2014 Godzilla. Do not make another bad Godzilla trilogy like this ever again. Number 2. Hellboy 2019. I got a question for you, Hollywood. Why the hell couldn't you just give Guillermo del Toro his $200 million to Universal and Legendary so we can get a Hellboy 3? Why couldn't we get Hellboy 3 with Ron Perlman and Selma Blair? Granted, you do have actors in here who are doing the best they can, especially David Harbour. He's doing the best that he can with the material that is given. Everyone's doing a good job. You do have some good makeup effects, and you do have good production design and practicality in terms of costume design and makeup, but that doesn't save this movie from being the second worst movie of 2019, because the story is all over the place. And this is based on 4 comics. The story was all over the place. I didn't care about the story. I didn't care about the characters. And I just easily wonder how much more awesome this would have been if it was Ron Perlman and Selma Blair. Because nobody can plays Hellboy better than Ron Perlman. Hopefully they pull Ghostbusters 2016 in reverse, just like they did with Ghostbusters Afterlife, and give us a Hellboy 3 to wipe the distaste from this movie out of everyone's mouths. Mila Jovovich she's having fun with her part as the villain, but the problem is the way she's written. And also, this movie is boring. The action is even boring. I will give you credit that it is R-rated, because Hellboy, it is an R-rated comic. And you do get some blood. And you do get some nice gore. But if you ain't got a story or anything, or a good villain, you just got style over substance. And that's what this movie is. My number one worst movie of the year. And this movie right here, literally, every time I go back to this movie and think about it, every time I see videos, reviews from other YouTubers on here, including from my good YouTube friend Patrick Burrow and from well-respected YouTuber Austin Putnam. Every time I go back to this movie, when I give my thoughts on this movie, in the video, in the comments, I have the worst look on my face. This movie is quite easily the worst romance movie of this decade. And that movie is none other than After. The Twilight movies aren't the greatest, but if you had to ask me which one I would rather watch again, this movie or Twilight, I will gladly sit through the Twilight Saga again, because at least those movies, they're flawed. Those movies are bad, but I have a guilty pleasure somewhat thing going for them, even though I definitely see the problems. This movie is nothing more than a PG-13 version of 50 Shades of Grey, just done in college. You made a movie that is worse than Twilight, and you make a movie that is worse than 50 Shades 1, 2, and 3 combined. Josephine Langford, I give her credit. She's beautiful. She may be from Australia, which is also the same place as her sister, Catherine Langford, who's also a very talented actress. But Josephine Langford, for her first film as a lead star, she tries. She does the best that she can with the material. Selma Blair does fine in her screen time. Some of the cast does fine. There is some good cinematography. The soundtrack isn't too bad. That's pretty much it, because After is exactly what I was afraid this movie was going to be. A 1 hour and 46 minute, which feels like 2.5 hours, like 2 hours and 45 minutes of the most boring, the most dull, the most lazy, cliched romance. That is worse than Anakin and Padme, is worse than Anna and Christian, and is worse than Bella and Edward. Our main lead, Hardin, comes off as a freaking creep and as a freaking stalker. There's this one scene in the movie where he's like, "What are you dreaming about?" And it comes off as unintentionally hilarious. Then there's a scene at the beginning of this movie, literally, which I kid you not, I'm just gonna spoil it, and I'm gonna spoil the ending of it because you do not need any my 1.32 subscribers out there. You do not need to see this. Waste your time on this movie. I'm just gonna spoil the beginning, and I'm just gonna spoil the twist that they have because you do not need to see this movie whatsoever. There's a scene at the beginning of After when she goes into college and she finds her college room, right? And she goes into her room to get dressed, and Harden is in the room, and she literally tells him to step out so she could change. And he just sits there, "You go in and change. I'm not looking." I'm just in there like, dude. You just heard her say she's trying to change her clothes. Step out. If you are a guy out there, the best thing to do is step out when the lady wants to change her clothes. Word of advice, public service announcement from Joshua. But quite frankly, I couldn't give a care about this romance. The writing is so horrendously, atrociously bad. You could watch this movie in reverse. I would easily watch this movie in reverse. That would have been a better experience for me. Because every time it gets to a scene where you're supposed to feel for these two as a couple, I just sit there with the most uninterested look on my face, and it took me 3 times to watch this movie. Because the first time I watched After, I fell asleep. Second time, I watched it, but I didn't even make it to the ending. Then until the third time, I watched all the way through, and I was still and I'm upset because I have to talk about this movie again. And this movie forgets the most important rule of a romance movie. The number one rule in a romance movie is for audiences to care about the romance, which you did not do. Harden, you don't get anything out of him as far as character development, except for the fact that Tessa likes him because he's hot, and he has a bad reputation. And then your lead character, Tessa, this entire movie, she does the following 3. She constantly lies to her mom and to her high school sweetheart, saying that she's in class and she's doing fine. 2, she spends this movie cheating on her high school sweetheart. 3, every time a situation goes bad, she just goes running to Harden, because just like Anna in 50 Shades, just like half of the badly written female characters in most of these bad romance movies, you keep going back to this guy for more because you're not a strong female character. She's basically weak-minded. Not to mention, this movie is rated PG-13, and the romance stuff is not even that romantic. It's just, it feels like a music video. Then you underuse Selma Blair, Jennifer Beals from Flashdance, Paul Gallagher. And you have a lot of talented newcomers. And Anna Sarkis, I remember her from Medea Halloween 2. You have Shane Paul McGee, who was good in this movie as the somewhat brother of Harden, and he was also really good in Unbelievable with Caitlin Dever on Netflix. What type of movie was this supposed to be for either one of these guys? So you have the two most unlikable leads, a romance that I could not give 13 craps about. Lazy direction, a very bad script, a very shady script here. Uninteresting characters, and this movie follows every single romance cliche by the book. I don't mind romance cliches when you do them right, but for some reason, this movie does not do any of those cliches correctly. And the ending and the twist of this movie, when you find out that Tessa and the Heart and being together was only just a game, I'm just sitting there like, really? You gonna pull that card? You're really gonna sit up there and pull that card? Brilliant plan movie. And this movie has the nerve at the end of the movie. You have the nerve and the audacity to come out and say, whoops, we're getting a sequel, and the sequel's already was greenlit back in May, and the trailer is going to be coming out soon, because it comes out in the spring of next year. Watch the trailer comes out before the movie, and then watch when the movie comes out, and watch. The movie is after we collided. It's gonna be for shit. It is. I'm afraid, boys and girls, we got ourselves another case of the freaking fan fiction syndrome. Not to mention, this movie does two things wrong too. It romanticizes the fact that it's okay to cheat on your boyfriend, on anyone you love, and it romanticizes abuse in a relationship. I'm sorry, but as a young male, that is not the message that you should be sending in a romance movie. I don't want to see abuse or cheating in a teen romance movie, because it has no reason in a PG-13 rated romance movie about two freaking uninteresting characters that's supposed to get together, and you're supposed to root for them. Just like I had the same problem with Black Christmas 2019. I don't want to see the whole man bashing thing in that movie or a Ghostbusters movie, because it has no place in either property. Do you not get what I'm saying here? A romance movie is not supposed to romanticize cheating or abuse in a relationship with a bad boy with tattoos. That is not something PG-13 friendly, man. That is not something for a romance movie. You will not see after on a streaming service like Disney Plus. You will not see it on Disney Plus. You will not see this on MTV. You will not see this on VH1. You will not see this shit on Black Entertainment Television. And that stands for BET. You'll probably see after on Netflix, because it's available on Netflix right now in all countries. And you'll probably see this on Hulu as well. And the fact that this movie made money and that we got a sequel coming in less than a year away, get ready. Because when it gets to After We Collided, I'm pretty sure I am going to have to let loose on that. So yay. Give yourself a round of applause, girls. And to any of the boyfriends who went with their girlfriends to go see this, and to any of the husbands who went to go see this, I feel sorry for y'all. Because now you have to endure 3 more movies of this. But, yeah, After, stay away from After. I will never buy this on DVD. You will not see this in my collection. Stay away from After. I'm serious. But anyways, I do apologize if that little tantrum on my #1 worst movie of the year is a little long. I just had to get the last of this first After movie off my shoulders, and now I can go in peace. Let me know what you guys think of the worst movies of 2019 from me down below. What are some of your least favorite movies from this year? I'll catch you guys later in the next video. You guys keep it cool. Join the Epictasticness. Be sure to follow all my social media links in the description box down below. And you all have a nice evening.